Hi, my name is Catalina Arenas, and alongside with me, I have Mackenzie Clark. So, today, the idea that we're conquering is what is philosophy? Philosophy is the rational investigation of truths and principles of being, knowledge, or conduct. According to dictionary.com, it seeks to provide explanations, arguments, and proofs for questions and ideas generated by human wonder. Human wonder being what? Human wonder being human thoughts and questions that they ponder every single day that might creep into their head in the shower, just when they're walking their dog, or but a lot of these questions ask, why am I the way that I am? Is there a meaning in life? What is moral and immoral, and what justifies that? Is there a god or a superior human? Is there existence beyond this life? What happens in the afterlife? And is there a certainty in life? And many more questions. This human thought enters the realm of philosophy. Philosophy is a search for claims concerning ultimate reality, human knowledge, human rights and responsibilities, difference between morality and ethics, human values and beliefs. It is as well as search for a common good, and it is a practice that requires critical and logical thinking. So we're also going to talk about the idea of philosophy and the Catholic faith. Philosophy considers more than just the meaning of words. It constructs and decodes the meaning of life. What people must understand to distinguish between the two is that philosophy remains true to its very own principles and methods, and that Catholicism and Christianity focuses on the deeper questions concerning life, some like evil and suffering. But this part of philosophy, the Catholicism/Christianity part, focuses more on metaphysics and why there is something rather than nothing. And this enters the next topic that I will be talking about, which is metaphysics. Metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that addresses profound and general questions about reality and tries to bring some coherence to an ultimate meaningful experience of the world and everything in it. Studying philosophers who contribute to this part of philosophy, such as pre-Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, people like René Descartes, Immanuel Kant, Martin Heidegger, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Simone Weil, not Simone Weil. Another philosopher that we'll be talking about today in a little bit more detail is Plato and his idea of metaphysics. So let's introduce ourselves to Plato. Plato was a successful Greek philosopher from ancient Greek times. He was the founder of the Western world's very first higher learning institution called the Academy, in recognition for his very successful academic efforts and a very itching feeling of sharing his love for philosophy towards the population of Greece. The Academy is located in Greece's capital, Athens, and there are still remains of the building today. In efforts towards his love for philosophy, there were many influencers who influenced him to pursue his passion, such as Pythagoras, Heraclitus, Parmenides, and famous Socrates, and as well as Zenon. So Plato imagined the idea of two worlds, the visible world and the intelligible world, as existing on a perpendicular line that can be divided in the middle. The lower part of the line consists of the visible world, and the upper part of the line makes up the intelligible world. Each half of the line relates to a certain type of knowledge. According to Plato, we can only form opinions of the visible world. However, we can achieve knowledge of the intelligible world. The visible or changing world can be divided into a lower region, illusion, which is made up of shadows, reflections, paintings, poetries, and so on and so forth. The upper region consists of belief, which refers to any kind of knowledge of things that change. Beliefs may be true to some or most of the time, but occasionally is wrong, since things in the visible world do change. Belief is practical and may serve as a relatively reliable guide to life, but it doesn't really involve thinking things out to the point of certainty. The upper region can be divided into two segments also. On the lower end is reason, which is knowledge of things like mathematics, but which requires some principles to be accepted without any questions. So that's just taking an equation like A squared plus B squared equals C squared. On the upper end is intelligence, which is the knowledge of the highest and most abstract categories of things, an understanding of the ultimate good, the knowledge of the forms of a higher order, the knowledge of the mere particulars in the visible world. The higher forms of the so-called form good is the highest, are known only by abstract reasoning, so that strictly speaking, knowledge of them does not depend upon experience of particulars. So that leads me to talking about Plato's allegory of the cave. So, the cave is a mere representative of the visual world. The humans that are part of the cave, that are chained down to the cave, are human ignorance. Each individual is represented as human ignorance. So, when they see the visual world, which is shadows and of lifelike things reflecting onto the wall of the cave, this is only what human beings see, hear, and experience. This visible world is a world of change and uncertainty. And then in the intelligible world, which is the real life object in person, is the unchanging products of human reason, otherwise understanding anything that arises other than visual comprehension, such as abstract definitions or mathematics, make up the intelligible world, which is the world of reality. This world contains eternal forms or ideas of things. So those are what those objects are. If there's a reflection of the tree, they will not know where the object of the real tree is, but can only see the shadow and can believe, hey, that is the most perfect form of a tree. And guess what? I'm very satisfied of looking at the shadow of the tree. So we're also going to talk about other contributors to metaphysics. So we have Laozi, also known as Lao Tzu, believed to write the first ideas of Taoism. In this philosophy, it's unable to grasp the ultimate reality, which is a mystery. Nothing in Taoism can describe reality. Nothing is permanent. Nature is a constant ebb and flow. People who follow this philosophy oppose violence and authoritarianism. We're also going to talk about Thomas Hobbes, who was a materialistic guy. Everything is physical and consists of only matter. The soul and God aren't real. And then we're also going to talk about Baruch Spinoza. He was a monist, which means of all that exists in nature is one reality or substance. God and nature were two names of the same reality. God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and self-causing. God is also not in a human figure.
Aristotle was born in northern Greece and went to Athens at the age of 17 to study at the school of Plato for 20 years. And during that time, Plato became a major mentor for Aristotle. And when Plato died, Aristotle then tutored Philip of Macedonia's son Alexander, which would then be later known as Alexander the Great. And when Alexander became king, Aristotle returned to Athens and founded his own school. But being connected to Alexander, he was exiled from Athens and died of illness 1 year later. Aristotle's work, Treatise, was the first major work to talk about metaphysics and to have the title Metaphysics. And metaphysics is the knowledge of immaterial being. Metaphysical statements usually implies a belief which may seem reasonable but contains no proof. So these statements would normally be about the world, the universe, where you can only say something but have no proof to back up what you're saying. On the concept of change, Aristotle identified 4 different causes that brought about change, and each of these causes is a different answer to the general question of why. Each of these causes, the example would be, why is a bowl a bowl? So there's the material cause, which is what the object is made out of. So this is a bowl because it is made out of clay. Then there's the formal cause, which is the shape of an object. That it's a bowl because it is shaped like a bowl. The third cause is the efficient cause, which is the process that caused the object to be made. So it's a bowl because it was sculpted in a way to make a bowl. So the sculpting of the bowl is the efficient cause. So then there's the fourth one is the final cause, which is the purpose for the object, which is a bowl because it's selling as a bowl to make money, or it's a bowl because it was created to hold liquids. Aristotle disagreed with his mentor Plato's idea of forms and how there are universal forms that exist. So Aristotle disagreed with Plato about how Plato said that there is a location where all universal forms subsist, by arguing that by saying that they're universals, that each universal form exists within each thing rather than as a general form. So the form of a peanut exists within each peanut rather than in a world of forms. So the form of an object is like the shape of it. And so Aristotle also talked about matter, matter is what makes up that object. So, for example, houses are made out of different materials, whether it be brick, stone, wood, etc. And whatever it's made out of, it is still a house. So the form of the house stays the same, but the matter can be different. So a brick house is still considered a house, whereas a wood house is also still considered a house, but they're made out of two different materials. Aristotle used the term potentiality to talk about matter and used the term actuality to talk about form. And potentiality and actuality can be one and the same. Thomas Aquinas was born in 1225 in between Rome and Naples and wanted to enter the priesthood, which was opposed by his family, which caused him to be kidnapped and held captive for 2 years by his family. And after the 2 years, he finally got approval from his family to join the priesthood, where he was sent to Paris to study. And during his studying, he discovered the philosophical writings of Aristotle, which he looked at metaphysics and used Aristotle's theory of metaphysics to support certain Catholic beliefs. He met his death by having a mystical experience that led him to say, "I can do no more," which led him to stop writing, and he died of illness sometime later. Aquinas illustrated the teachings of the Church and used Aristotle's writings to help prove the teachings of the Church. And he wrote that since God gave humans reason, there is nothing that can contradict reason. So, since God gave humans reason, and reason is from God, and God is perfect, then nothing can contradict what we think is reason. Aquinas' work, by giving the Church reason, attracted more people to the Catholic faith by having explanations for many of the Church's beliefs. And he applied Aristotle's belief in a universal method of reasoning, where you can learn everything there is to know about reality. He applied that belief to Christianity. Aquinas came up with natural law, or theorized natural law, which is the existence of laws that are set by nature, so by human reasoning. That humans are both rational and social beings, and that drunkenness is contrary to natural law because it diminishes one's reason. So natural law is really based around reason. What we naturally think is good and what is evil. And that is what's the fundamental principle of natural law. Aquinas said that natural law is humans' participation. Natural law is humans' participation in the eternal law of God. where through reason one can see which act is good and which act is bad, but it is humans' free will that directs them to their true end, or to their true goal. Aquinas used Aristotle's writings of accidents and substances and applied them to transubstantiation. So the appearances, the accidents of the bread and wine do not change. So the bread still looks like bread and wine still looks like wine. However, the substance of the bread and wine change, where the bread becomes the body of Christ and the wine becomes the blood of Christ.